Phil will have control. He can mute others.
There's Phil.
Dang, he's all banged up too.
How you doing? There's some information right here for you.
Okay.
You have everyone's copies.
Yep. Oh, man, microphone's down.
Do what?
Microphone's down.
I know.
Slide behind you?
Yeah. You want me to get up?
No.
What you got?
Okay. Thank you, sir.
I didn't see it. Probably better, right?
All things considered, Tyler, how are you?
Doing good.
I'm a lot better than I was. It's near death half the winter.
Last time we saw you, you had some chest stuff going, didn't
Yeah, and the week after that, I was back in the hospital.
you? With that same stuff?
Same stuff. I've been in the hospital 4 times for that one. No. Torn my quad tendon. Half off my knee. Tomorrow morning. 9 o'clock. I don't like this. I don't have room to put it. I don't have room to open up the big book. Aaron, how are you?
Not bad, how are you? Hey, we got 4, that's better, so we...
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
And I checked the legal notice, it's for 12 large animals.
Yeah. That's how it's written out.
Yeah.
I'm gonna slide this over on you. All right. One for you. One for you. One for you. You got this. Pretty well.
I've got it on my computer.
Take one pass. If you would, please.
Let's go.
Take one pass. You want one of what I'm handing out to?
Sure.
Do one of them here. There's that one. Take one of those. All it is just an explanation, a better explanation of the houses next to the property is the codes that are cited in the application.
Yes, I'm saying.
And map. Got the extra maps. You got the extra maps.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Mhm. Okay. So all these are just explaining the ordinances that were in, that are cited in the application, plus a better map of naming the names of the properties. There's a map in there, but there are the names on it, there's a list of names in there also. There's this. Oh, the publishes that's in there too. And of course, this is what we got to fill out later.
Did you want one of these?
No, I've got that, thanks.
What, yeah, I'm gonna use.
That's everything. That's everything.
Get it all?
Thank
Start looking through. Well, gentlemen, I got 7 o'clock. I'm gonna call this meeting to order, Arcadia BZA. What's the date?
22nd.
22nd. Note. Excuse me. Call to order at 7 p.m. Tom, if you would, a roll call. Order by answer while we're in present.
All right, Cody Engel, here. Bill Moore,
Present.
Tyler Pecor,
Present.
Tom Logan, present. Steve Smith. Not here.
Call him again, Steve Smith. Absent.
Steve? No.
Steve's not here. So we've got 4 of us. And I declare we have a quorum to conduct business. The 4 of us here. Minutes from the last meeting.
Last meeting, 1/12 of 2026. Basically, we met to vote for officers. Tyler made a motion to retain the officers the same as previous year. With Bill Moore president, Steve Smith, vice president, Tom Logan secretary, it was a vote, 3-0, and the meeting was adjourned.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Just a short, brief meeting on
And that was it.
yeah, that was it for the last meeting.
If the minutes are acceptable, say yay, or
Yay.
Yay.
if they're not, nay. Okay. We'll file it away.
Okay.
So based on what you said, I don't think there's any other old business before us. At all, anybody think of any? So then we'll move on to new business, and the main reason we're here, there's a variance application in front of you guys. And it's about increasing the number of animals on a lot size. Wanted to go up to 6 and 6 on a 4-acre deeded lot. And, how it is listed as 4 acres, but that's a deeded lot. You guys have got it in front of you. Chance to look through it. Is Mr. Doss here? Present?
Present.
Yep. Welcome, good to meet you. I'll give you a chance to present to us what it is you want to do.
Just
The
need
floor is yours.
variance to, my son leases the property off of me and they want farm animals. So they've got 4 horses and 3 cows at the present time on the 4 acres.
Okay. 4 horses, 3 cows, 7 total right now.
Yeah,
Okay. Anything else?
Do you have anything to say?
Yeah, I can speak on behalf as the tenant there, but, there's no,
Who are you?
I'm Billy Doss,
Okay,
the renter and the LLC owner for
Okay.
Doss Family Farms. There's no intention to have a mass, quantity of animals. Those are all 4-H animals, and, the cows are will be our only source of income from the property. And they're not beef cattle, they're Scottish Highland cows, so we sell them as they're birthed, for money. So, we do not expect there to be at any time more than what we've asked for. As a matter of fact, we expect it to be less than that, but we reached a number of 6 horses because we were issued a permit to add on to our barn for stalls, 6 stalls previous to this. And then we came into the cattle realm with our daughters showing 4-H. So from that point, we had a complaint filed that we had more than the ordinance allowed for. And so the direction I was given when advised about that was to apply for variance, much like some of my neighbors have done, to have more than the allotted amount of animals on their property. And many that have not, that have many more than we do. So we're trying to do the right thing and obtain a variance, allowing for a few more animals than we have now. We do not have chickens. I understand there's a limit of 1 per acre still there in that agricultural area, and I know that's not strictly adhered to either. So again, we're just trying to do the right thing and get the approval first.
okay. You guys have any questions back to him? Thoughts, comments, questions?
Can you just repeat what you said about the chickens?
The ordinance currently for the zoning where we live, where we reside, states 1 chicken per acre and 1 large animal per acre and a half is the ordinance. When I contacted the planning commissioner about it, he stated this was the first and only complaint they've ever had about too many animals on an agricultural property, and hadn't made comment about changing that because that ordinance was geared for in-town life and not agricultural property in the country.
Well, that's the actual ordinance, where's that, I'm trying to find it.
It's under the MSO4, D MSO4.
This one right here,
Yeah,
Yeah.
this page.
I didn't keep one for myself.
Phil?
So what it says for small animals, 5, chickens, very small animals, chickens, 1 acre fenced pasture per animal. You would say it that way. Large animals, horses, cows, buffalo, camels, donkeys, 1.5 acres fenced pasture per animal. Minimum lot size to have any farm animal is at least 3 acres, which it does meet that. Thank you. Pass it up, Keith. Other questions? They're asking to have 6 horses and 6 cows. How many acres are actual pasture right now?
I submitted a map, and there is 2.8 acres of the 4 that is pasture.
2.8.
Yeah, where the animals graze freely currently. And then they have stalls, and we supplement it with feed and hay nonstop.
That was one of my next questions. Will you bring in feed? Do you bring in hay?
We do.
How do you handle manure?
We have, I submitted a manure plan to the surveyor's office for their request, but they have not responded back. I have that with me if you'd like to see it, but basically it's, we sell it, we transport it to Green Cycle and sell it to them. And we spread it with the spreader on our property for the application recommendations in spring and fall.
What's the 2 acres that you spread it at?
There's the 1 acre, well, it's just shy of 1 acre
You can come out and point to that.
fenced in. As you see this fence here,
Mm-hmm.
this is 1 acre here.
Mm-hmm.
This is grazing and transition pasture here, and this is a front pasture. And then, where that white truck is would be our storage location.
Mm-hmm.
And we spread it on the grass per the recommendation of a neighbor who's a landscaping expert who
Okay.
advised me to do so to grow better grass because I dug a pond and we have clay.
Okay. Do they access the pond?
I'm sorry.
Do the animals access the pond?
No.
Okay.
And we also spread it on several of our hay fields where we have partnership in, where the farmer cuts and bales the hay for us and we buy from them, so we spread it for them as well.
Okay.
We do keep on site a small amount for composting for our gardens too. We sell that as well.
So you hauling it out weekly, monthly?
Monthly generally, but if we get to a dump trailer full is when so it's not always monthly.
Okay. It's a lot of nerve.
So
Let's see,
generally every couple of months right now.
So,
you guys want to see that? Okay.
To be on the record, I ran the numbers per what is recommended for that manure plan, and it seems like an extraordinary amount of manure for what we're actually producing and hauling.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that that's accurate, but that's the numbers in the equation we were supposed to use for that.
Okay. You guys have comments or questions?
Nope. That seemed like a lot, honestly.
So when you have the cattle and you breed the cattle, do you have more than 6 at a time?
No. Currently, we have a bull and a mama, and we just had our first baby, and it's already been offered for 3 people to buy it. So as soon as it's old enough to be weaned, it will be sold.
Okay.
And that's our goal, and really that's to pay for our horses, because
Mm-hmm.
they cost us money, they're for my kids, so. I'm just trying to supplement the hay bill
Right,
for that.
I understand that. You guys look through all the stuff? Thoughts, questions, comments? Anything else you'd like to add?
No, sir.
Okay. I'll open the floor to questions, comments from the gallery. Please state your name and where you live, the association to the Doss property. If you have any questions or comments. No. Well, we got a big group here tonight, that's why I asked.
So when the adjoining neighbor,
Name?
Dawn Berger,
Okay.
I guess I'd like to present some facts and some photos.
and you're a neighbor, you said?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
On the south side.
I'll give each of you this information.
And then these photos. They're not all this, I mean, they're not all the same, so may have to pass them around. Okay. So the first comment I'd like to make, how long do I have to speak?
At this point, probably as long as you want to, cut
Okay.
it off.
So the first comment, I was told that there were basically 3 statutes that were supposed to be met. And that one of the statutes was that there was a practical difficulty in the use of the property and that the situation shall not be self-imposed and be based on a perceived restriction of economic gain. I wanted to make sure that it was noted that this is self-imposed, that when both Billy and Tim purchased the property, the Arcadia ordinance was in place for the large animal variance, and the easement, which runs through both the Doss property and my property, this is a drainage easement for water, county water, which goes under the pastured part of the property and the proposed site of where the animals will be grazing. That county tile is porous. It was installed in 1911. It hasn't been inspected. A porous tile, they have no idea how far under the ground it is. The purpose of the drainage easement is to drain what's above it. The intent for pastured property is 2 animals per 3 acres of pastured land. If you look at these pictures, this is the pasture, and that's not pasteurized, that's barren land. It's not pastured at all. So it goes directly into that drain. It goes south to my property that has the cistern. So essentially it goes right into the water. It's not monitored because the county and the state don't monitor a small operation. That's a problem. But going back to the situation of the self-imposed, this was known at the time that it's an ordinance. They signed on the dotted line. They knew how many animals were supposed to be out there, and they also knew there was a drainage easement. So this is self-imposed, and the reason they're doing this, they can have animals, they can have 2, and when he said that they're doing this before, and he wants to do the right thing, no, they had 7 animals out there, and they got called on the carpet because they had 7 animals and were hauling massive amounts of manure out, and now they've been asked to do the right thing. So it's not because they want to do the right thing before they started doing it. Somebody brought it to the town's attention that it's a problem. They can have a couple animals, that's allowed. It's a non-issue. But when you turn it from a residential to a massive operation, it becomes an issue for the neighbors, particularly the neighbor that has an easement that they cross. Now, if you look at the pictures that he submitted, the only way to and from the Doss property is across my property. There is no way to get to his property but through mine. Every time he enters and exits his property, it's across my property. So those massive loads of manure, This is the tractor. It's open with a giant scoop of manure on it. This is a dump tractor, and this is only half the number of animals right now. They want twice this number. And this is being hauled out across my yard. In regards to manure, cows carry all sorts of diseases. They have E. coli, they have cryptosporidium, they have giardia, they have gutworm, they have Johne's disease, they have chronic wasting disease, they have Jakob-Creutzfeldt, they have tuberculosis, they have mucormycosis, and they have laminitis in the hooves. All of these things are contagious to humans, and they're also contagious to other animals. They're transmitted through the manure, and they're transmitted through the soil and through the water. Manure is a significant contaminant. Water runoff, significant issue. As you can see, it is not pastured, it's essentially barren, and any rain would immediately come to my property if it doesn't already, through the drain tile, go to the county and other areas. There's a simple fence with some wire that separates my property and their property. There's horned cattle. Both the males and the females have horns. As you can see in one of the photos, these cattle are, there's a horn, and you can see in one of the photos.
I think he's got it.
Okay. There's a punctured hide. That's their cattle. And there's another picture where they are walking with a leash on my property. That same cattle. So there's complete disregard for safety with these animals. They think it's cute, they think it's fun, yet this is the damage that happens. The horses that they're proposing, same situation. There's another photo where the horse is in the yard. It's not on the easement, it's not their property, and it happens to be right in front of the no trespassing sign. In talking to Joe Gates, IDEM, he gave a number for a spillway line, and he basically said the only way for this to be monitored at that cistern is to test it before and after the operation starts. And I said, well, it's already started. There's multiple animals out there already. I suppose it could be tested now to see where the level is before they ramp up and double the amount that they're going to have. But it's a bit difficult being that it's already underway. There is a calculation in terms of how many acres one is supposed to have for this many animals. It really depends on the density of the pastured property. If it's barren, you need a lot more, potentially up to 15 acres for this number of cattle. If it is truly pastured, 3 to 5 to handle this amount of manure to be spread is the minimum number of pastured acres. But being that these aren't pastured acres, it's essentially a no-go. So the manure transport is an issue that comes in and out. All the disease that I mentioned can come across the tires, the open carry with tractors, and the dump truck as it goes across the feces material drops out across the drive. That's my property. And when this ramps up, and you're talking about this number of animals and the amount of feed that comes in, the people that have to come in to service a sick animal, hours of days and night, they all come in across my property. How does that not devalue my property? It has to. If the Doss family had their own ingress and egress, this would be a lot less of an issue, but it is across my property every time they come and go. There's no two ways about it. It's a significant safety factor based on the pictures that you see, based on the manure that's dropped. The question that I would have, there's several. The lake that he said he built was initially dug, and then it was expanded. The survey department, Gary Duncan at the survey department said it was expanded and there was no permit obtained for the expansion. The expansion extends into the protected area. There's supposed to be 75 feet from the county drainage tile easement. They've encroached into that and did not get a permit for it. There's a pattern of, oh, I'm gonna do it and then ask for forgiveness later. They put up fencing across the county drainage tile. Each time there is supposed to be a permit from the county and then a non-access signed so that the county has permission to gain access to the easement so that they can fix the tile at any time. Those papers were never signed prior to the expansion of the lake and prior to the putting up of fences. They may have been signed since, but they weren't signed previously. So between the fence, between the lake, between starting this project without contacting Arcadia, there is a pattern of doing without asking. So the question that I would have for this board is, who monitors this operation to ensure the allowable number of animals would ever even remain at 14? Who's to say it wouldn't go to 15, 20, 30? How do we know it's not going to become a petting zoo? How do we monitor or govern what types of animals would be allowed? Who goes out there to perform that monitoring? What are the hours of operation? What are the limitations? It's just a free-for-all. Those certainly are all concerns. Any questions for me?
So on this map, you live right here? Which one of these is yours? I'm guessing it's this one.
It's not this.
So this is my property right here.
Let's see, I have a list of that.
And what?
What's your address?
25710.
You occupy the property?
No, it's land at this time. We're supposed to be building on the land. The issue is this. I'm not sure. This has been going on for a while, for at least 6 months now, that there's been a problem. And it's a lot of money.
Is the easement they have to get to their property legal?
I'm not sure what that means.
That means there's an easement for them to get to, they're
Oh,
gonna
yes,
cross your
it's-
property to get
yes.
to their property.
So when they,
Is that a legal thing?
it is a legal documented easement. It is, at the county, it's had to be signed for. Anybody who purchases the Doss property or that property has had to sign that document.
And there's a width to that easement?
The width is not to be more than 10 feet. I have a copy of it on my phone. If you'd actually like it, I could forward that to you.
Okay.
Would you like that?
Yes, please.
Okay. What,
And we're not here to discuss that, I just wanna be sure it's a legal thing.
yep. Aaron Culp has a copy of that. I can, like I said, forward it to you.
And also things that have happened in the past, we're not here to debate or argue that either, about the fence, about the lake being expanded. Who monitors it? Basically, the neighbors, I guess, because we don't have a zoning police, you know, that we go out and look and check on this stuff. There's a lot of, like, in our system that should be involved, but it's basically up to the neighbors around them to, you know, to watch and complain, I guess, if that's the situation. But no, we don't have any kind of zoning police or zoning follow-up. We list, these are the conditions, whatever we would agree to tonight, and then they're expected to follow those conditions, you know, if we spell them out. Yeah. And like I said, the fence and the lake, we're not here to discuss that either. Anything else? Anything else you want to address back to us?
No, just that, the devaluation, the safety factors, and then the fact that this, when it says, that there's, that it's not self-imposed, it was self-imposed in that the easement, both the county easement and the Arcadia easement were in place. These were not ordinances, I'm sorry, the ordinances were in place. This wasn't an ordinance that came about after the purchase of the property that then caused a hardship. These were known when the land was purchased. And somebody is requesting an altered use for monetary purposes, which is not the purpose of the variance.
You have covered that. Where's that? Is it in the stack we have, or you got it separate somewhere? The ordinance for the number.
It's that 43.
Is it in the stack?
It's in the paper, so it's, okay, I need the book. Anybody else have any other comments?
I'm fine.
Out there? I'll give you some. Give me a moment.
What are you trying to find?
I'm looking up the ag residential zoning. And it provided land use for activities. Originally, because it talks about production of farm animals is a permitted use. And home occupation number 1 is a permitted use. Okay. reduction in private commercial raising of non-farm animals, but also allowing occupation number one, they're allowed to do a business if they're the only ones doing the business. And they're allowed to have production of animals. Okay.
Did you have an email that you wanted that sent to?
Philip with one L, Philipe dot Moore, MOORE, at Comcast.net. Thank you. No one else? Question, comment? Mr. Doss, I'll give you a chance to reply back.
Am I able to look at the photos? Or was it
Certainly.
your evidence?
Yep. They're spread all over, not duplicates.
Philip.g.moore@comcast.net.
Yes, with one L.
All of these? Okay. All right, so I'd like to address these real quickly, an explanation of the silliness here. But I will start this by saying a lot of this is irrelevant of the situation. This is all stemming from a dispute with the neighbors here that initiated this action in the form of multiple complaints against me running an illegal business and exceeding the ordinance. I do not deny exceeding the ordinance. As a police officer, I'm well aware of the state law and federal law when it comes to fish and wildlife. We do not enforce ordinances. So I was ignorant of that ordinance, having that when my daughter's asked to have animals to come home. So I do not deny being over the limit. And when a complaint was filed here, saying I was running an illegal business and exceeding that, I inquired about that. And that's how we got here. I was advised to go through this variance process. As far as the comments about the permits, you should have on file here in this office a permit from my pond and the approval afterwards. A permit for the extension of our barn and stables and the approval afterwards. And a permit for a lean-to, a walk-in for my horses and the approval afterwards. I was told I did not need a permit for the fence that was erected prior to the commissioner's visit. If that is needed, I will gladly pay for that. So, to address these ordinances, that's our bull. His name's Harvey. This is supposedly me transporting manure. This truck actually belongs to Ingle Tree Service, and it was transferring dirt from their property where they had trees removed out of the property. And if you would like, I can confirm that with Mr. Ingle. This picture does not have a date on it. I assume on purpose at the top. After winter, there is no plants there. So it is barren ground. This picture is of me transporting manure to my neighbors. They're not present tonight, but they live next door for their garden that they purchased from me. So all those are that. These are pictures of my children walking their horse and their show cow down the driveway, down our easement, which is legal access to the property, and not on their property, despite their distorted pictures. It looks like it might be on the grass, but if you do your homework and look at lines like I do for a living, you will see that that's clearly on the gravel. Lauren posted a picture of our cow to her friends that did sustain an injury, and it wasn't from a horn. It was from a fence post. I'm not sure what this picture's of. I'm assuming that's from their property. Look, that they have trail cameras videotaping the operation, our personal activities 24/7. So this is a picture from one of those cameras of tall grass and what the grass looks like in the back pasture during normal times in the fall. Again, no date and time. It's a picture of manure and grass. I don't know where it's at. This is a picture of the electric fence that we have that keep the animals in. And a erected fence that I put in 2001, 2002, during the time I had the permit to dig the pond. That has not been adapted or changed. And as a matter of fact, if you call the Cacasulas, who farm that land next door, they've been out to inspect the drain. They actually installed, maybe they don't know this, but they actually installed access pipes on my property line with the Wise family farm to the north of me, and on their southern border. Every 2 properties, they installed those just 2 years ago, within the last 2 years. And they also installed,
Are you monitoring wells?
no, it's the county drain that has been inspected through those access sites. And as a matter of fact, they came and installed my overflow that was required for my pond that now drains into the county drain through the Wise Farm access drainage. This is an argument in their civil lawsuit against me that I supposedly dropped a deer on their property. My other neighbor's not here, but it's all in the court system right now. So this is irrelevant to the situation. And my pond, if you do your homework and you get on Google Earth or that GIS website and you measure from the county drain to the dirt work, which I stopped, is 75 feet. So there's 150 feet of clearance on both sides that is I'm not able to use other than pasture. I was told that by County Drainage Board when they came and installed the overflow for my pond. And afterwards, since they've inspected it. Cacasulas have been there many times, and so has county drainage. As a matter of fact, as part of my manure plan, I have to get with them on adding a gate so that they can access it through the neighbor's property since I'm landlocked. I respect whatever decision you guys make. My top goal is to have 12 at the most, and that's far exceeding what we expect to have. But that was a number. I got a permit for 6 stalls. I built them. I invested the money. I took a loss last year on my taxes because of the investment I made on the property with everything. And my goal is to recoup that money by having 12 at the max, large animals on the property. That's all I have to say.
You guys any other questions?
Gary Duncan at the surveyor's office is the one who gave me the information in regards to the inspection of the drainage tile. I believe Mr. Doss is referring to the breathers that were put in. That's not an inspection of the tile, of the drainage tile itself. There were breathers that were put in, but that's not an inspection of the drainage tile. And in regards to whether he has a permit for his lake or not, I didn't dispute whether he had a permit for the lake. It's the expansion that he did not seek permission from the surveyor's office prior to doing the expansion, nor prior to installing his fence. There needs to be a signed document at the surveyor's office prior to doing either of those things, and that wasn't done. And again, Gary Duncan would be your reference for that.
May I respond?
Yes.
I don't know who Gary Duncan is. He's never been to my property. I've never done dealings with him. I was directed to this office in Arcadia Town Council or zoning to do my business through. I got an inspection for, this is irrelevant to what I'm asking for, but to answer the assumption. Soil, Water, and Conservation District gave me a plan prior to digging. I gained approval through them and through this office through the permitting process. I dug the pond, it's right at a quarter of an acre pond, and then they came and approved it and signed off on the permit. I have not made any advancements, I've not dug any more away from the pond since that date. I have groomed and planted grass, seasonal grasses, native grasses, and flowers and so forth, to help my neighbors who have honeybees to pollinate and to keep the structure in place for my shoreline on the pond. I've done everything I was told to do. And I've worked with every agency in the middle. I work for a state agency who regulates drainage and waterways in the state. I've consulted with them. I have to deal with you guys and the county, and I've done that. So I don't know where she's coming that I've added. If she has any proof of that, I'd like to see it. Otherwise, it's just another false accusation.
Okay. Questions, comments? We're not here to, and for you guys, bear in mind, we're not allowed to discuss any of this before tonight, okay? So I know that you guys probably didn't know that they had this legal dispute going on over the easement already. I was aware of it, but that's not why we're here, to settle that. I just asked if it's in fact legal, and it is, and how wide it is. And you're aware of the 10 foot, the width of the easement, you're aware of what that 10 foot is?
No, actually, that's not accurate. If you read it, and the attorneys have made this statement, their attorney and my statement, that it does not state the width of the easement. It states that the driveway must not exceed 10
Driveway must not.
of the easement.
So we're not here to settle that dispute or to take any more on. I wanted to let you explain some. I probably went further than Mr. Culp wanted me to go. But I wanted these guys to understand there's also that dispute going on. We're not here to settle that. You know, there's an axe to grind with it. We're here to talk about how many animals it is proper to keep on that size of a property and with what he's doing with them. Jennifer, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
I'll put her on the spot. When he talks about having the variance permits, I saw you nod your head. As far as you know, he did have all those permits filed here in the office, right?
There was a pond permit issued, and to reference Gary Duncan, at that time we did not send our permits to the surveyor's office. I don't know, Gary Duncan should really not know about our permits. They go to the assessor's office, so you can get assessed for your property taxes to go up. But there was a pond permit issued. But like I said, if that was in 2021, that was before.
Yeah, now copies of our permits go to the surveyors as well,
Yeah.
but that was before.
So even with this situation, because of the way Arcadia is zoned, it gets sent, I believe, from Aaron, maybe, over to the surveyors.
So if you want to file a building permit, you come into our office, you fill it out, we then let our building commissioner know, who does not have an office here, it's a part-time job. He fills it out, he brings it back, we call the resident and let them know that it's ready. But in the meantime, when he brings us the permit, we also have to send it to the surveyor's office now, so they can get their claws into our business up here.
That's how this happened, because.
And then they let us know if we can proceed or not due to drains. So the pond was sent, there was a building permit, but in 2021, we did not send our permits to the surveyor's office.
But again, that is not
It's not the
an
issue that
issue
we're.
that we
It's
have
not,
to
and I don't know
restriction.
all of that detail. All I know is when I spoke to the surveyor in regards to a couple of different situations with this and trying to find out my due diligence with water safety, soil safety, those sorts of things. This isn't something I do for a living. I have to figure out, how am I safe? How is my family safe? Can I build on this property? Is my well safe? what can I do, what can't I do? And in going through these steps, this is how I discovered that there are things that, this non-enforcement agreement that is supposed to be signed for things that are built across structures like the drainage easement. I don't know if the Gosses have been notified that they need to sign this non-enforcement agreement. And then the comment was also made that there has been an expansion to the pond, which was initially permitted. So I don't know whether that's true or not true.
Okay, no comment, okay.
I'll answer that, is in the manure, when I was told I had to do a manure plan via this variance, part of that is I will sign that when I add a gate, giving them access, normal access to my property, but it has to come through a neighboring property, so I have to get their permission to give the county drainage permission to access. So I have to get their permission, or the White Farm north of me, I have to get their permission and access gate at the drainage site so that they can inspect it. That's all in the plan, which I can
And that's from Gary Duncan. That's the head of the surveyor's office.
Okay. Anything else from anybody else? Yes.
I just have a quick comment about
Dana?
the pastures. My name is Jean Hutcherson. I live north of there in Sterling.
Okay.
So sometimes we don't want all our horses on a lush pasture. I don't know their horses, I have no idea. But I know I personally have some that have metabolic syndrome. If I put them on a lush pasture, they would die. So I have to put them on a more barren pasture and control the feed and the type of feed that they get there. And they can only get hay. If they get the complex carbohydrates off of the grass, they will colic and die. So it's just something to consider, that I know that in all the storybooks, all the horses are on beautiful lush pastures and they're running and doing the things. That is not in real life. So, yeah.
And what's your name again?
Jean Hutcherson.
Okay, did you get it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay, and I understand what you're saying. Anybody else? Question, comment? From the public? And I'll close the comment section from the public.
Question for real quick. If they do, I know there are things she's saying with the leach, but if they do it in the field beside it, is that not really the same?
What's that?
If they do manure, if they spread it through the field beside it through the tile, is that not gonna be the same leach problem as he's gonna have as well? I mean, it's fields all the way around.
It will be,
Yeah.
if it truly is a
I
problem.
mean, you're not meter.
Can I make a comment?
Yes, Evan?
The town of Cicero, the town of Arcadia, they all have drying beds for their human waste that goes through the sewer systems. And they deliver it to the Ruland Farms just east of town here. They spread all that on all their fields. It's an eighth of a mile from Big Cicero Creek. All goes right to the creek, and we go swimming in it on Saturdays and Sundays. So it's no different than horse poop. We discharge into the creek in Atlanta too.
I have a question in regards to that question that
Jason,
Jason
no.
had. What is it?
What was your name again?
Zeb.
Zeb what?
Pickett.
Pickett?
Sounds weird. Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Yes, sir. Give you one more chance to come back.
The,
Your final comments.
does the farm at 281st and 019 owned by the Endicott family fall within the jurisdiction of the county? No. There's 30 head of cattle there, and they urinate and feces in the creek, in the ditch that runs right through the pasture. I'm getting manure from Cacasille's farm, the Weiss farm to the north of me, through their low area, the water that runs off their property, 5 to 7 acres that floods through my property on the drain in that back pasture. I don't see how measures aren't in place to secure the manure and or urine that would, if it escaped my property. That's all.
Do you have any comments?
Are we closing the public hearing?
Yeah. I close the public hearing, yes. Give Mr. Doss his last chance to comment.
I mean, my one comment would be, as much for the public, as I know the BZA members are aware of this is a development standards variance. And a development standards variance, they have to prove that they meet 3 criteria. The first is that it will not be injurious to the public health, safety, morals, and general welfare of the community. The second is that the value of the area adjacent to the property included in the variance will not be affected in a substantially adverse manner. And the third is that the strict application of the terms of the zoning ordinance will result in a practical difficulty in use of the property, and that this situation shall not be self-imposed nor based on a perceived reduction or restriction of economic gain. In order for the BZA to approve a variance, they would have to find that the petition meets all 3 of those. If it fails to meet any one of those, then it doesn't meet the requirements. Also, just for everyone's benefit, practical difficulty is defined by our ordinance as a difficulty with regard to one's ability to improve land stemming from regulations of this chapter, and that chapter is our zoning ordinance. A practical difficulty is not a hardship. Rather, it is a situation where the owner could comply with the regulations within this chapter, but would like a variance from the development standards to improve his or her site in a practical manner. For instance, a person may request a variance from a side yard setback due to a tree which is blocking the only location that would meet the development standards for a new garage.
You guys have those in front of you. I think this was sitting at each of our seats, right?
Yeah, I brought those in so you could fill them out when you make your decision.
You guys have any more questions or comments?
Is the main issue you have with this the manure, or what is?
So the main issue is that the ingress and egress of everything is across my property, front and center, across my property. If it were just 2, it's essentially residential use or a pet. I have no problem with somebody having 2 horses or 2 cows. You can have a pickup truck and a small towable horse trailer that can come across a 10-foot easement. Non-issue, absolutely non-issue. So when you have 14 head, you need large trailers of feed, hay. It all needs to be brought in on heavier equipment. With the more animals that you have, there's more people that then come out to either shoe horses or take care of sick animals. Those are more exposures to the driveway. If there's a diseased animal or a dead animal, it has to come out across the easement. There's more contamination. It's not contained on somebody's property and then out to the street. I'm exposed every single time. So it's my property that's affected. There's no way for it not to be affected unless they get an easement that's not me. So because of their choice, I'm directly affected by this. So instead of just 2 animals, which is a complete non-issue, they want 14. And for him to run a business, it has to be through my property.
I thought
It's-
the number was 12.
It's
that we
12. It's
did.
12.
It's 12 plus the 2 that he's allowed. It's, if you read it, it's
But he's
6
only asking-
more than the, 6 more than the,
That's not how the legal notice is drafted.
The legal notice is drafted, he's
Yeah.
only asking for 12.
12 total.
can we read that page again?
The manure plan, that's what it states.
I think
is 12.
actually it was on, it looked like a page like this that I got in terms of a proposal. That it said 6 more than the allowed.
On his
On the
application,
application that reads, he's requesting the use variance to operate a small agricultural operation involving the breeding, selling, and training of up to 6 horses and 6 cattle. In excess of the
In
ordinance.
excess.
But the excess of the ordinance is based
Yeah.
on the land, it's not the number of animals.
and so we're
That
talking
ordinance
12.
states how many, animals per acre, how many acres per animal. That MS4.
And the legal notice clearly states that the variance is to permit the keeping of 12 large farm animals, 6 cows and 6 horses on a property, whereas the zoning ordinance requires 1 1/2 acres of fenced pasture per large animal and would only permit 2. And so we're talking 10 more than not
Yeah.
12 more.
So, okay, when I read it, so either way, still, it's many more than 2.
But your biggest beef is the easement.
My biggest beef
And
is
we're not here to discuss that.
safety in regards to manure, devaluation of the property. That,
Okay.
there's no, all of that comes across my property.
But there's a legal easement that's out there right now that he can come across your property.
He can come across my property
Okay.
with 2 animals.
Doesn't say that in easement, on your easement, does it?
It does.
2 animals?
It says single-family residential use. I sent it to you so you can read it, but
Yeah, that is not
It's not over
what's
here
in
for.
front of us.
Yeah.
but again,
And I
that,
understand there's a beef going on.
no,
and
that
there's
last
legal-
statement, however, though, is not self-imposed. And not self-imposed means that something was supposed to have changed after the signing of the documents. Like a new ordinance was made, and when they signed, they knew what the Arcadia ordinance was. And they also knew that there was a drainage easement. And the hardship is, he's claiming the drainage easement, so he wants more animals because he can't develop on the drainage easement.
Okay. We've been discussing this for an hour. And I shut off the public comment, and you've interrupted me without raising your hand or asking 4 times now. Do you guys have anything else? For yourselves?
Oh, no, still thinking.
Okay, you guys can take
Is
this
there
one if
any,
you want.
is there any like legal standard for Indiana or this county for number of animals on a per acre?
No, you will see different standards, different places use. You know, I think Arcadia is kind of common. And the reason with the larger animals, they have that pasture is the idea of if you're going to let them just live out in the pasture, they're gonna live off the land and they're gonna leave their manure where it falls, that they think that you want about an acre and a half. You know, and then whether or not having a feeding program where they're not just being sustained off the pasture, and if they have a manure management plan, then that would be up for you to decide if that's sufficient to address the higher number of animals in this setting.
So that's a deep in thought.
So basically, I've been trying to think of this, I want to make sure, is the pasture area of animals just this part?
See that line right there?
Yeah, I see that line, I just went, okay, so that's 2.8 acres.
No, then it runs down along here.
So there's a line right
Section
there.
up here. One of these other maps shows it.
Oh,
See that one?
I can help if you need me to. There's a paddock area as well where the stalls are, where we collect most of the manure.
Mhm.
So I can show that to you if you need.
there it is. So
And you say that that is 2 acres plus,
There's 2+ acres of pasture
you
area.
stated there was 2.8.
That was based on the GIS measurement.
The horses and the cattle be together?
Yeah.
They run together?
They're friendly.
Why? I didn't know if you just separated them.
So on this manure plan, I don't know a lot about animals, but it just seems like a lot. Would you say it's like half and half what you have to haul out or what stays in the pasture?
They're all old. We rescued all the horses and we bought the 2 cows. They're young, but they're on a feeding plan. They come into the stalls twice a day to feed. Right now, when it's hot and the flies are out, they're in there on fans. They go out, use the restroom. My daughters clean up the manure with a little bucket or a cart, and they dump it in the storage area, collection area. They seem, when I looked at those numbers, they looked really extreme. I thought there's no way I'd do 100-some tons of
That
manure.
says, yeah,
I can tell you-
240,000 pounds a year, that's a lot.
We hauled recently, I have a 14-foot dump trailer, and we recently hauled 6 loads out of that. And that's for the whole time they've been there.
So it's something that could be self-regulated every 2 weeks, to
Once a month, if
keep
we
it
could
clean
get,
down the driveway.
yeah, there's plenty of cleaned out area, the whole area is clean currently.
And when you say you let them out, you let them go to the back pasture or you go to the front pasture?
They have not been on the back pasture yet, because of what Mrs. Hutchinson said up there. We don't want them to get to the high sugars and stuff in the grass that's growing right now. That causes them to be sick and will die. So they get fed feed that we buy at Tractor Supply every week. It's roughly $100 a week for us to feed them special feed for their senior diet. And they get hay, which we have brought in on a truck. That's a 1,500 truck with a maybe 20-foot trailer. The largest 2 vehicles on my property that come frequently are the trash truck for my dumpster and the power, septic, and sewer once every couple of years when I have to dump my human waste and it's transported out the driveway. We have a 2-horse trailer that we occasionally transport them, but we haven't been transporting a lot lately because of the complaints. So right now, for 2 months, they're insured in a horse barn. Our horses are week on and week off. So over 2 months a year, we don't have them. They're there for a kids camp. So there's some reduction in that, but those are the numbers I was told online I need to punch in and create those. And it just doesn't seem right to me, but I've not received any complaints from anyone else. Any of my neighbors I have great relationships with.
Anything else?
I don't think so.
Josh, you satisfied? In order to pass this, we have to have 3 of us in agreement, or to not pass it, 3 of us in agreement. 2-2, we don't have our 5th guy here, so 2-2 means we would re-meet on the issue and then go at it again. And you guys have to fill this paperwork out, sign it when it's done. I'm not asking each one of you your personal feelings whatsoever. You know what your job is to do. But we do have to make a motion, second it, and vote on it one way or another. You know, bring up again that this whole dispute over the easement is nothing that should enter into your thought process. It's just totally separate. It has to do with the 4 acres that he lives on. And whether we want to allow more animals than what our ordinance already says. Grant him I guess it'd be a special exception.
A development standards variance.
Development standard variance.
Mhm.
It would just be made to them as a homeowner, not to anybody in the future.
That would be up to you. You could have it run with, during his ownership of the property.
We
If
can
that's
state
what
it
you
that
want.
way. If nothing is stated at all, then it is just as long as he owns the
Correct.
property. Yes, it doesn't go with the property whatsoever. Mhm. Mr. Dawes wants to comment against it already.
Not at this point.
I had a
That's
question.
all right.
I just had a question about it being passed on to heirs. It cannot be.
That would be up to them.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I had a question. That's it. I don't have a comment.
Yeah, you could have it run with the land, which means it would just continue.
Mhm.
You could have it during the current owner. Now, in this case, or you could have it the owner and his family. Sometimes I've seen that done too.
Mhm. Presently, Mr. Dobbs, Tim, you own the property.
Yes,
Mhm. And you lease it out to your son?
yes, sir.
Now, if you did leave it with just the current owner, let's say Tim Doss decides at some point to transfer it to Billy Doss, Billy could come in and ask that you allow him to continue that variance at that time. And so there, it just depends on however you want to make a motion there, if that's what you're thinking.
Yeah. Bill Ross,
Yes,
you're his son.
I am.
What was your question about heirship?
It was just, if I'm the heir to the property, would I have to come in and reapply at another time if something happened to my father, or if it's passed on to me in the future?
Okay.
And it all depends how they
I
make
don't
the
know
motion.
either way.
Getting complicated, guys.
There's a lot of stuff to think about.
I say we file a motion for.
Force him to make a motion.
Well, I think he's getting ready to make a
He's getting
motion.
ready to, I know.
Yeah, I'd put in a motion for the special zoning, but under, with a few conditions on it.
So a motion to approve the development standards variance, subject to conditions.
I would say only granted to the family, or, you know, the same family name, however you wanna word that.
Granted to the owner and the family,
Yeah.
deeded owner.
Yeah.
And obviously follow the manure management plan, and maybe, I don't know if we can word it to where it's a little bit more than, as far as getting rid of it, so it's not such a stockpile, even though I think these numbers are
Well, I
excessive.
mean, are you thinking once every 2 weeks?
Like a 2-week thing, if you're saying it's spilling over a trailer, maybe if it was not done as much, that wouldn't be an issue, if it is.
Okay, so follow manure plan, but to remove it every 2 weeks, or to empty every 2 weeks.
As needed.
Okay. Okay. Empty as needed. Anything else?
Well, as needed could be very loose though.
Mm-hmm. That's why if you wanna attach a time period, once a month, once every 3 weeks, 2 weeks.
I mean, he said he's done what, 6 loads since however long they've been there? So that's,
Over a year.
We'll address you
it's not
again.
that much.
You talked about hauling manure out,
Yes, sir.
how many loads, in what period of time?
How long have we had the horses?
It's been 2 years and I think we've hauled like 7 dump trailer loads, but also the other thing is we might not have the full amount of allowed at one time, so it might, I mean, it all just depends on how many are there.
I will say this, if you put a time frame on it, or a sequence of times I have to go, it is what it is, but it's $88 every load I go to Green Cycle. If I go every 2 weeks, as prescribed by you, that's $200 roughly a month. I'm going that I don't need to go. So 7 loads every year. Looking at once every 2 months. So that's been what it is right now is 7 large animals.
It's your motion.
That's the production.
Yeah.
So
Okay, thank you.
what do you want it to be for the manure?
I mean, whatever's right, I don't have all the knowledge to make, I mean, just whatever seems rational. to
I mean,
where it's not spilling over trailers if that's an issue.
right now, what I wrote down, the last thing was you had as needed.
But like he said, I feel like that's probably
Yeah.
a loose statement.
I mean, he said once every 2 months. Are you comfortable with that?
Bi-monthly. Or if it's something that we, I don't know.
I mean, if he follows the plan's gonna specify
Yeah, and I
the
think
frequency.
this
Where did that go?
He has them in
I
there.
got it right here.
Okay. And? Anything else?
All right, so the motion is motion to approve the development standard variance. That the variance will run with Tim Doss and his family, and then follow manure management plan and empty it every 2 months.
Anything else you want to put in?
I think so.
Is there a second?
A second.
Who was that? Well, this is for the 12 animals.
Yeah, he made his
Yeah, which
motion.
is what these are based off of.
We're gonna have to stick with that. You sure you guys understand that?
Yeah. So we're doing 7 and 2 years for 7 large animals. That's slightly under 3 months or so, yes, close to 3.5 months.
Go over your criteria one more time. Did you write it all out there?
Yeah.
Got a motion on the floor? I'll close all discussion, move the question, and Aaron, if you would, please read back to us how you recorded it.
Okay, have a motion from Tyler to approve the development standards variance, which would permit the keeping of up to 12 large animals, 6 being horses, 6 being cows. It is subject to the following 2 conditions. One, that the variance would run with the family of Tim Doss, so him and his children. And then they follow the manure management plan and to empty it at least every 2 months.
Understand it?
And then I have that Cody made the second. And then we would need to do a roll call vote.
So go ahead and do a roll call vote, Mr. Secretary.
Okay. Tyler Pecor,
I vote yes.
Cody Engel,
Yes.
Bill Moore, Bill Moore.
Vote yourself first.
Tom Logan is no.
I'm gonna vote yes.
Okay. Vote count is 3 yeses to 1 no.
So the motion passes.
Motion passes.
Anything else? Any other new business?
Nope, that's all we had tonight.
An hour and a half, hour, 25 minutes long. Nothing else coming down the pike?
I have not been contacted by anyone else telling me that a variance has come. Well, I take that, there may be one coming down sometime in the next 6 months, but it's still very hypothetical at this point. It's one of those where if a particular buyer is interested and decides to go forward, they would need a variance. But right now, there's not even a purchase agreement in place or anything like that. So they was more just calling to find out what they would need to do for zoning.
I'm not aware of anything else. It was just like Verizon to turn their tower on.
Yeah. That'd be
That's
nice.
a whole other subject. There being no other new business, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second that.
All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Okay. We're adjourned, 8:27.
Yours.